Welcome to Fifth Industrial Revolution AI's inaugural episode. I'm Everett Kelsey. I'm not here to sensationalize, and I'm not here to defend or attack any political figure. What I will be doing in this episode is pulling back the curtain on a military parade taking place on Donald Trump's birthday and exploring what it reveals about the evolving relationship between democracy, military power, and corporate technology in America.
President Trump has longed for this parade, a show of military might like he's seen from other countries. But this morning, the price tag is raising eyebrows and concern, along with the president's warning to anyone who plans to protest the event. President Trump overnight at the Kennedy Center for opening night of Les Mis, welcomed with cheers and boos. The president attending his first show at the Kennedy Center since overhauling the institution, installing himself as chairman and appointing loyalists to the board. The event also a fundraiser for the Kennedy Center, tickets selling for as much as $2 million. It comes as the president prepares for another major celebration this weekend, a massive parade through the streets of Washington to flex America's military might and mark the Army's 250th anniversary, also scheduled to be on the president's birthday.
We have the greatest weapons in the world and the greatest people in the world. It's going to be a big parade.
Preparations now well underway, tanks rolling into the nation's capital, 6,700 soldiers expected to march through the streets. The White House even making a last-minute request for the Air Force Thunderbirds to do a flyover. Our Victor Okendo getting an exclusive glimpse from above.
We're flying above Washington, D.C. with the Secret Service and Park Police. We can already see the security presence building. There will be thousands of law enforcement officers from all over the country here on Saturday.
The cost to taxpayers, the Army alone spending up to $45 million. Democrats slamming the price tag.
$45 million for a parade, for God's sake. Money should be put in defense medical research instead of wasted on some pomp and circumstance for the president.
The parade, a show of force Trump has long wanted, coming as he doubles down on the use of the military to quell those civilian protests in Los Angeles. But Trump with this warning to anyone who protests his parade.
If there's any protester who wants to come out, they will be met with very big force.
He didn't distinguish between violent and peaceful protesters.
Tomorrow, Saturday, June 14th, Washington, D.C. will transform into a stage of national spectacle. The official reason? To celebrate the 249th birthday of the United States Army and preview America's semi-quincentennial, our 250th Independence Day in 2026. Tanks, troops, jets, and all the usual military displays will be on full display. But there's more. The event is being co-produced with America 250 Foundation, a congressional chartered nonprofit. Its board includes Chris LaCivita, former campaign co-manager for Donald Trump, and Rosie Rios, former U.S. Treasury Secretary. So from the start, this is a deeply political production, one draping with American flags, framed as traditional, and made possible by an unusual coalition of government, military, and some of the biggest names in technology. While taxpayers are footing the bill for the hard power, the tanks, the planes, it's big tech footing the bill for the soft power. Oracle, Amazon, Palantir, Coinbase, Lockheed Martin, even Meta at one point were listed as top sponsors. These companies are funding the optics, stages, sound, lighting, spectator logistics, and in some cases, full digital platforms for engagement. Let's be very clear. These aren't just neutral vendors. They're strategic entities with massive government contracts. Palantir, for example, runs software for ICE, the DoD, and predictive policing tools across U.S. cities. They profit from surveillance. Amazon's AWS division is a cloud backbone for the Pentagon and intelligence services. Oracle has multi-billion-dollar contracts managing government health, tax, and data infrastructure. So when they sponsor a military spectacle, they're not doing it out of patriotism alone. They're doing it to reinforce their centrality to state power and signalizing it publicly. Okay, here's where it gets deep. Historically, national identity has been shaped through culture, media, and education, but increasingly, it's being curated through events like this, where public trust, brand power, and state legitimacy converge. By funding and participating in these pageants of nationalism, tech companies gain more than visibility. They gain influence over how America sees itself. They shape the platforms of civic memory, public narrative, and patriotic imagination. Meta's proposed role as the executive social connectivity partner for America 250 before it withdrew would have given it control over how Americans interacted with their own national story. Can private companies manufacture patriotic sentiment? Can optics funded by tech create enough symbolic weight to reshape public opinion, solidify coalitions, or even condition us to accept militarized AI as normal? This parade is a convergence of militarized aesthetics and computational governance. What we're seeing is a future where drones, social media platforms, predictive analytics, and public events all speak in one voice on behalf of the state and sponsors alike. And here's where it starts to matter deeply for democracy. The American 200 Foundation is not accountable to voters. Its corporate partners are not elected, yet they are scripting how the next generation will understand American independence. What does it mean when a nation's memory becomes a branded campaign? What happens when dissenting voices are algorithmically filtered? How much longer can we call this representative democracy if the key players don't answer to the people? Democracy isn't just about elections. It's about narrative control, symbolic space, and access to public meaning. To my fellow technologists, engineers, coders, analysts, this is a call for introspection. We're not just builders of tools, we're architects of systems. Every line of code shapes behavior, enables power, and defines what is possible and permissible in society. When our platforms enable mass surveillance, behavioral nudging, or staging of government narratives, we become co-authors of the agenda. So we must ask, who are we building the systems for? And are the systems we build aligned with democratic values, or just convenient for clients with deep pockets? To every citizen watching, tech savvy or not, this moment is a reminder that symbolic matters. When a military parade is funded by companies that also run the cloud, write your algorithms, and power your data infrastructure, what you're witnessing isn't a celebration. It's a consolidation. And it's not inevitable, but it is accelerating. The purpose of this episode isn't to tell you what to believe. It's to help you see the infrastructure of belief itself. To understand how democracy, display, and data are being stitched together into a new kind of statecraft. This is a fifth industrial revolution. And if we don't stay aware, if we don't stay critical, we risk waking up in a world where the rituals of democracy are still performed, but the power is moved elsewhere. I'm Everett Kelsey, and thank you for watching. Stay critical, stay sovereign, and most of all, stay human.